Okay, thank you. I will apologize in advance if I start coughing. I've been having it. I can't, sometimes when I read, it gets all coughed up, so we will start this. It's called The Crossin'. It was a dark and stormy night. Well, almost dark anyway. And the wind was blowing them red and gold leaves from the old oak trees lining the dirt path I was walking down, heading home from my best friend Billy's house. Close enough to stormy, I was thinking, considering what I figured was waiting for me when I got home. I gave that loose rock in the middle of the path a swift, hard kick, sending it bounding and tumbling in the dust. It was Halloween, and I knew I wasn't going to get to go trick-or-treating, since the class tattletale, Ratamount Johnny, had pointed out that it was me that dumped that can of fat and juicy night crawlers into old lady Morris's lunch pail. The class whooped and hollered when they heard her screaming in the cloakroom, and I was feeling pretty cool till old lady Morris came tearing back into the room screeching and wanting to know who done it. That was when old Ratamount Johnny stood up, pointed at me, and with that nasty snide grin spread all over his face. One of these days, I'm going to rearrange that dirty little face of his and wipe that grin sideways. The thought of Johnny's mouth wound somewhere up around his ear somehow made me feel better. Walking on and kicking that rock, I could still feel old lady Morris's spiny claws as she clammed onto my left ear so fast I didn't even have time to duck. She yanked me up and marched me yelping all the way down the hall to Principal Bailey's office. He just glared at me with them beady little eyes of his and waved his hand if he did say, "I can't be bothered." Then he told old lady Morris to sit me on that rock-hard wooden bench outside his office till the last bell rang. I didn't get any feeling back in my butt till I got to Billy's. I'd gone back to collect my books from my desk, scrunching up my nose as I did every time I stuffed them in that old flowered-covered hand-me-down book bag from my sister, all the while keeping an eye out for old lady Morris. Thankfully, she was nowhere to be found. I found Billy waiting outside by the old pump, making circles in the dust with the toe of his shoe. He grabbed his bag, and we headed for his house, where I had to stay excuse me, till Ma got off work. I made Billy promise, on penalty of 2 black eyes and a broken nose, that he wouldn't say nothing about them worms or the visit to Principal Bailey's office. Billy had shrugged and said that it didn't make no difference nohow if he doled or not. Old lady Morris and Principal Bailey had probably already told Ma anyway, and I suppose he was right about that. Seemed like I'd only got to Billy's when his Ma come in and said it was time for me to be heading home. I started out walking slow, dragging my feet in the dirt on the path, leaving small gullies of dust in my wake. I figured that if I walked slow, Ma'd have time to cool down, and maybe I wouldn't get grounded, and I could still go trick-or-treating. Guess I hadn't been paying much attention to the time, because all of a sudden, it was getting dark. I mean really dark. And I still had a long ways to go, and then there was that rickety old covered bridge with its missing floorboards that I still had to cross. Why, some of them holes were big enough for old man Crowley's cow could fall right through. Don't know why the county didn't fix or replace it, though. Seems to me they ought to be concerned about people's safety. Sometimes, down at the grocery, I'd stop and listen to the old guys telling stories about somebody that done up and hung himself off the side of that old bridge. Of course, that was before it started falling down. Best as I remember, that somebody was supposed to have killed his wife and then hung himself right off the side of that old bridge. Them old guys sometimes said you could hear the groaning if you listened real close, and you could hear the rope rubbing on the side of the bridge as his body jerked and jibed before he kicked off. I don't put no stock in that kind of stuff, I assured myself, as I kicked that rock again, and I heard it rattle onto the wooden floor of the bridge. A slight chill blew across my shoulders. "Ain't nothing," I muttered to myself as I stared into the inky black innards of the bridge. I could hear the water gurgling as it rushed under it, and I tightened the straps of my hand-me-down bag. The wind picked up, then a blast of ice-cold air hit me square in the face. My my goosebumps had goosebumps. I swallowed hard, gripped the straps of that old hand-me-down bag, my knuckles turning white as I placed my right foot on the bridge floor. I could have swore that old bridge moved. I squinted my eyes, trying to see the other side, but I couldn't make anything out except it was dark. I looked behind me, and it was still pretty light back there, but pitch black on the other side. Now, I wasn't really wanting to cross that old bridge, but there wasn't any other way to get home. Besides, how many times had I crossed it and nothing ever happened? Of course, considering this here was Halloween, I was getting a little concerned that maybe, just maybe, there might be something to them old stories after all. I forced my left leg forward so that now I had both feet on the bridge floor. My feet felt like lead weights as I tried walking forward. "Come on, you ain't no sissy," I said out loud, trying to sound brave. "Ain't nothing there except them danged old holes that you gotta watch out for." I took 2 cautious steps forward, then 2 more, and 2 more, keeping a sharp eye out for them dang holes. I looked behind me in the darkness that closed in, and I couldn't see any daylight in back or in front of me. Holy crap, I thought. My heart pounded like the jackhammer that Uncle Thomas used. I closed my eyes. Don't know why I did that, 'cause I couldn't see for nothing nohow. Then I took a deep breath and held it, hoping it would steady my shaking knees. Sometime close to my passing out point, I exhaled. Didn't do nothing except make me lightheaded and still scared shitless. Of course, I'd have to check my drawers to be for sure once I got home. If I got home. At that point, I figured I must be about halfway across that dang bridge. Probably close to the point where that somebody done up and hung himself. I tried not to think too long on that, just in case there was something to them old stories. And then I heard it. The creaking, squeaking, rubbing sound of the rope against wood. I turned ice cold. My spit dried up, and my heart jumped right in my throat. Did I stand still or run? What about them dang holes? I couldn't see for nothing, and with my luck, I'd drop right on through one of them dang things. The creaking and squeaking got louder. Excuse me. The creaking and squeaking got louder. I lost my place. Oh, the creaking and squeaker got louder. A bone-chilling whoosh, whoosh started up right behind me. I jumped nearly 2 feet in the air. That old flour-covered hand-me-down bag slipped off my shoulders, bounced once, and then disappeared through one of them dang holes. Good riddance, I thought, as I started running, my feet barely touching the bridge floor as the evil squeaking, whooshing followed me. I could almost make out the other end of the bridge, and then I saw it. And my heart started beating its way right out of my chest. There was a dark figure looming in the opening, waving its arms like a banshee. Of course, I'd never seen a banshee, but I suppose that's what one would look like. While I was debating on what the banshee would look like, I was suddenly hit in the face with a blinding beam of light. "Duck, you dang fool," the banshee bellowed at me. "Them bats are right behind you."
You may be leaving for now, but the nightmares will return.